So we've had a lot of conversations, and let's just keep it going. And no, there's something that you really wanted to talk about and share. So why don't you go ahead and start?
Well, I was having a conversation today with my son who's 13, and he's getting into porn. And
like on the internet?
Yeah, internet porn. When I was a kid, if you wanted porn, like you had to raid construction yards, Porta Johns, and like you get these dirty magazines which would be passed on from like teenage generation to teenage generation, and these coveted folded things. Well,
they were salacious too. It's just
yeah. And now anybody can get this just overwhelmed and crazy stuff. Just the craziest things that you could possibly imagine. Somebody is doing that, and they're filming it and putting it on the internet for consumption. And I think porn, like everything, has two sides. I think that it can be used as a healthy way of enriching a relationship. You can watch it together, you can get hot on it, and you can be like, wow, let's try that, right? And when it's done together inside of that context of union, I think it can be just super hot.
It can just up the friction.
Yes.
But there's another.
Right. So
there
the
can
dark
be a
side.
flip side. There's the shadow side.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And this is something that the shadow side that guys often get is that it's just bad, right? Porn is bad, and so there's the shame piece that comes in that it doesn't make. I mean, we feel it, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so what I want to talk about is like there's actually a shadow side to it that I think does make sense, and from my experience anyway, has been where I'm looking at porn, and there was a period of time where I was just obsessed with porn. Like I would watch it wherever I got an alone moment on the computer, and
let's see what's going on today.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And so what I noticed as a result of that period was when I was looking at porn or even masturbating just without porn, it would be like a race to the pop. Right?
So it was about the fireworks effect.
Yeah, like so you're just going for the pop.
Right.
And so the problem is that I'm actually training my body to essentially blow my load fast.
Right. And I will say, as a woman who dated somebody who's really into porn, that's how I end up getting treated.
Yes.
Let's just make this about how fast this can go.
And you become more of like an object. So I'm having sex with somebody, and what I'm really doing is replaying a porn in my head. So I'm not actually connecting to the being I'm having sex with. I'm connecting to this fantasy that I have, in my head. And that just feels tragic to me.
And that's one of the darker shadow, the gritty, shame-based kind of place, and has a real impact on the relationship.
A real impact. For me anyway, sex is the core of a relationship. Now it's different for different people. So, friendship could be the core of different relationships, and those are all those are all valid ways of having a relationship. But for me, that sexual connection is key. So it's like the bedrock, and if I'm having and if I'm not actually connecting with the person that I'm in relationship with during sex, that just doesn't add up.
Right. So how do you talk about porn? How do you have the conversation about it?
Oh, so if you're in relationship with somebody that's consuming a lot of porn, well, I imagine in most cases it's probably going to be the woman talking to the guy. Right.
Stop it. Or whatever.
Yeah, there would be. The first thing I would do if I was to give advice to a woman is I might say, well, try at first anyway, meeting him where he's at. So kind of introduce like, hey, could we do this together? Could we watch porn together? And so they're kind of taking the porn habit and bringing it into the lighter side of it.
Okay.
Right. And then from there developing that connection piece.
Sure.
having a conversation around intimacy and connection, and even asking the question, who is it that you actually want to be connecting to? Do you want to be connecting to a fantasy person, or do you want to be connected to me? And even if you can, framing that question in a way that has that person feeling safe to actually tell the truth. Because I imagine if I was asked that question, there would be a reluctance to actually say what's actually true for me, right? Even if I'm saying like, well, in my head, I want to bang this person, this porn star in my head.
Right.
I may not say that, but if the woman can create openness, enough space for that to happen, even just getting that out in the open would be, that would be connection.
Truth.
Yeah.
Truth around a topic that is laden with shame and secrecy, and there can be addictive components to it as well.
Totally.
And so the way to weave it in to relationship is just to continue that truthful dialogue around what's actually happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll say, just even from a straight up, like, guys, if you want to be dynamite lovers in bed, if you're masturbating and you're watching porn and you're just doing it to get off, you're actually training your body to disconnect from sex. So when you're actually with a real living, breathing woman, all of your sensory system isn't designed to meet her.
No.
So there are ways to masturbate that develop endurance.
Yes.
That where you can develop yourself in a way that you last longer in bed. And so there are constructive ways of masturbating, and there are, I think, constructive ways of enjoying pornography too. It's a relationship.
I agree with you, and it comes down to knowing your sensory experience and being able to, there's no wrap up here, okay? So porn is something that we are all going to encounter in relationship at some point or another. And you mentioned that you've had to have the conversation with your kids about it. And as a woman, I'm going to have a conversation with my partner about it, possibly at some point. And so we're just going to put the conversation back to you and say, I want to hear from you what you have experienced with pornography and how that's either helped or hurt your relationship. Please put your posts on our page. And if you want to know more from Booster, you can post on his Facebook page. Yeah.
Booster Blake.
Booster Blake. Thank you all for stopping by. I'm Rebecca. Keep it sexy.